Good now, revolutionaries. Gaming week continues. Today is Tuesday. It is part 2 of gaming week. We're going all week long talking about how blockchain can enhance the benefits gamers expect from their favorite titles on any platform, anywhere, by giving them the ability to truly own and freely transact with their achievements, items, the hours they spend playing, etc. If you've never seen me before, my name is Evan. I'm going to be joined shortly by my colleague, Mr. Alex Popovich. We are here to give you the Rise Up Morning Show because it's morning somewhere and it's time to wake up and smell the crypto. We are the Faceless Many, a community of everyday people learning to leverage this technology to rise up and write a better future. And I'm sure you've heard plenty about cryptocurrency. Most of it is just terrible. We're skeptics here. We like to share what we know, ask questions together so that all of us can learn and grow. Because make no mistake, this technology, it will touch almost every part of your life. And it's a good thing to learn about, to know about, so that we can use it more mindfully, use it well. We're here every Monday through Thursday to answer your questions live at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you're seeing this in the future on YouTube, then hi, I hope the future is great. Join us on TikTok. If you're watching this on TikTok, like some of my friends here are, hey, what's going on? Nice to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Please be sure, if you want to connect with the community, that you jump into the Discord server. It's at discord.gg/themany. It's always going to be free. It's never, ever, no paywalls, nothing. We share resources and links from the show there. You can ask your questions there if we don't get to it during the show, but we're in the show now. So if you've got a question about blockchain, I see someone is a happy Bitcoin owner in the comment, or you just want to leave a comment about what you know, then that's great. We're really not here to do price predictions, though we're happy to talk about the kinds of things we have invested in. There's way too much financial advice on crypto TikTok, and there is not enough why. What really is this stuff, and why does it matter for everyday people? That's what we're here to talk about. And honestly, couldn't think of a better honor or a better guy to do it with. Here he is now. It's my friend Alex. What's going on, Alex? How you doing, brother?
Can't hear you. Hang on.
You're
Did the
doing
thing.
kung fu over there.
How's it going, dude?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. I like those moves, though. Honestly, really true. I wasn't just fooling with you. It was kind of a a good vibe.
Yeah.
Um, we've got a lot of friends here who are jumping on already. We've had a bunch of comments saying, thank you for being here. I'm a happy Bitcoin owner. This is the kind of content I'm looking for. Somebody just said blockchain is not Web3. What is Web3 even? Sounds like something some VC invented so that his general
Do
partner
tell.
would feel excited to spend money on it, right?
I mean, we all know that Web3 is a marketing term, but I hate to break it to you, blockchain is a big piece of that marketing basket.
Yeah, for anybody who's just catching up, I recommend you head to Faceless Labs on YouTube and check out the Web3 101 series. But when we say Web3, what we're really talking about is the same internet it's always been, but kind of the third evolution of what you can do there. We like to say that the internet now is about reading, that was Web 1, writing, Web 2, you can publish stuff. And finally, Web 3 will allow you to truly own things for the first time. It won't just be Facebook making money off your data without your permission. It won't just be Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu charging you again and again and again for the same digital copy of a movie that it doesn't cost them anything to produce. You will be able to tokenize digital assets, distinguish them from each other, and truly own them on the internet. It's gonna be cool, man. It's going to be real cool. And blockchain is a big part of it, along with artificial intelligence, along with other types of technology, better versions of the cloud, so on and so forth. But this week we're talking about gaming. And why are we talking about gaming? We're talking about gaming specifically because we're interested in it. Alex is there's nobody more qualified to talk about this than Alex. Designing a game,
I don't know about
avid
that.
player of games. I'm sorry, what?
There are lots of people more qualified than me.
Well, that's why I love you, man. On our show, anyway, between the two of us, there's no one more than you who's qualified. I'm a gamer myself. I enjoy breaking down big ideas so everyday people can understand them all across the space. But gaming, we think, is one of the most promising applications for blockchain, for crypto, for NFTs. So
Yeah.
stay with us. If you're a gamer, let us know. If you have a title you're looking forward to seeing, if you have an opinion about what blockchain, what NFTs can or will or won't do for your favorite game, then please let us know. And Alex, what do you want to dive into today? I hear we have a special guest later in the hour. Is that true?
I hope so. I told him to show up, and depending on how baby activities go this morning, he will be here at the top of the hour.
Okay.
So trying to get Mack to jump in for a little bit, because we get questions about interesting projects and stuff that people are keeping an eye on. I'm not keeping an eye on anything because I'm useless, and Mack is way more tapped in. So I figured that I would have Mack show up, and he can answer those questions because he's way more invested in his research and keeping an eye on interesting projects right now than Evan and I are. So hopefully everything goes according to plan, and Mack will be here at 9 at the top of the hour here.
Alex and I are in two different time zones, so don't get it twisted, people.
Yeah.
It'll be like Mack's Market Minute or whatever. I fully expect that when Mack jumps in the conversation with Shift 2, what do you think about AVAX? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Please do this. He's way more tapped into that.
I will say though, we are up again.
Again?
It's only up right now, which is, it's interesting. It's alarming.
I was just going to say alarming.
Well, what's interesting though is, so I really only listen to like two people when they talk about like anything that's happening in the markets right now, just because one, I do listen when Mack talks because I've known him for years, and I know that he's doing the research and reading things that I'm not reading. And obviously Mack doesn't do the unsolicited financial advice type of stuff. But the other person that I do enjoy listening to, because I don't get the heebie-jeebies when I hear him talk, and that's kind of, you get that gut feeling when you just listen to like 90% of people in crypto talk. The second they open their mouth, you're just like, ugh. Is Alex Costa, World War Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I just like the way he presents information. So he was making some interesting points on a video. I don't know if it was this morning or last night. I assume it was this morning. I just saw it like right before I opened this. But so the volume of these freaking ETFs is bananas right now. Yeah. It's billions of dollars, which is insane. And it's interesting because of two things. One, Bitcoin is up again. we're at 2.26 trillion total crypto market cap right now.
Wow.
And Bitcoin is up 11% on the 24-hour chart at like $57,000.
Dang. Wow.
It's pulling a lot of other stuff with it, of course. But the interesting thing, at least from my perspective right now, is that a lot of the buy volume is these ETFs, and it's not volume that you can just turn around and sell tomorrow. Like, people are typically not day trading ETFs when they buy. Now, The reason I say that it's interesting is because I do not know who is buying the ETFs. And I have a hunch that it's not people who have never bought Bitcoin before, that were just waiting for an ETF to be available for them to do it. I feel like it's possible that the volume from the ETFs is already like crypto natives or other companies who were like institutional money. So it could really go one of two ways, obviously. I mean, that's, that goes without saying. I'm having a hard time thinking that like this is the same as like day trade volume, like when you're just buying Bitcoin on an exchange, it swings 10%, you sell all of it and you wait for it to dip again and kind of, do all that sort of stuff. Like that's kind of the natural behavior that keeps prices from exclusively going up. However, this, I genuinely don't know. Like, I wish we knew who was. That's the problem with it not being on a blockchain. We don't know exactly who's buying all of this Bitcoin. If we look at the chain, all we're going to see is that BlackRock, like Zane just said, BlackRock is buying a shitload, and all of the other ETFs are buying a shitload. So it'll be really interesting to see, because the thing that I really want to know now is what's the new floor. Like when it does
That's
correct.
exactly what I was thinking when you said that.
It has to correct, right? So like, just remember that not that many months ago, Bitcoin was $19,000. It is almost $59,000 now.
Well, and you're just talking about the market cap. Did you say our crypto market cap was 2.2, or that Bitcoin?
Yeah. No,
I was like, wait a second, that should be okay.
No.
So Bitcoin is probably closer to. Give me an MCAP number there, because that's gonna
1.115.
Yeah. Okay. Great number. I remember just the other. So Michael Saylor's buying, for example. They just bought 150 million to buy a couple thousand Bitcoin. Which is the drop. Go ahead.
But Michael Saylor, after this recent price spike from the dip, is $4 billion in profit. So 150 million added to MicroStrategy's bags is really not that much. 150 million especially
added to $1 trillion is not that much either. Like it's helping to move the needle. But I've got to imagine that, like we said last time, a lot of institutions are preparing to. It's probably a cyclical thing where you've got institutions who are prepared for the ETF, so they've got Bitcoin to cover what their customers want to buy because they have to. And then people buy more than they expected, and then they need more, or they just want more. And then good old Michael Saylor over here is like, well, I'm not getting left behind, so watch me follow this. I think you're right, though, that most of the people who are buying for the first time, most of these people are not buying for the first time. Most of the people who are buying for the first time are probably going to hang on to it for a while. I think it's the establishment of what I would call a new floor, probably, lower down than this, but much higher than it's been.
Dude, on the list of people in danger of being left behind with regards to Bitcoin ownership, I don't think Michael Saylor is on that short list.
No.
But what's interesting is that I never thought about this until right when you said that. If we talk about like reasons to acquire Bitcoin, until the ETFs, there were really only 3 reasons, and I don't think all 3 of them are equally strong, right? There was, you wanted to buy it because you were trying to invest. You don't care about anything except the fact that Bitcoin is historically the best performing asset in the history of humanity. You wanted to invest in it. 2, you wanted to own Bitcoin so that you can, opt out of the current financial system or start to opt out of it, and you had intentions to use it at some point. Or 3, I don't even know if they're now I'm second guessing my third option here, but I guess now we're getting the third option, which would be just to like keep some of it away from these huge institutions. And I wonder about like Michael Saylor's, impetus to buying right now, because it's an interesting time to buy right now, considering how much they already have and how much in profit they are. It's interesting that because that feels like a FOMO buy, right? But it could be a utilitarian buy where he's just like, shit, I was not expecting this much Bitcoin to be purchased by the ETF owners.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this much volume to happen on these ETFs day to day. I need to get myself some more. So he like it is a FOMO buy, but like a different kind of FOMO, I guess. And that's kind of what I'm curious about.
Yeah, a different kind of FOMO sounds like an album by a crypto rock band. Sidebar. I also think you've got people who, the really interesting thing to me about this is everybody is talking, and when I say everybody, I mean I feel like the ETF has put Bitcoin into a conversation that has caused FOMO for more people who aren't invested because it's happening around the halvening. And we're going to talk more about the halvening as it approaches so that you can get caught up. But what do you got?
Can I just say really quick, because I love you, one of my biggest pet peeves is people calling it the halvening.
I call them, I use them interchangeably, halving and halvening, depending on the circumstance.
There's only two, so obviously it's called the halving. The event is called the halving. And I always wonder in the back of my head when someone says the words halvening, like, I don't think this when you say it. But there are people who say it. I'm like, are you like, is it the punny kind of, silly, like, oh, it's the happening, it's the halvening, like it's, or do you genuinely not know what it's called? And it's always like people who are educating us about crypto that say halvening. And it's always like, I really, really want to know if you genuinely know that that's not what it's called. And so if you want to talk about things that give me the ick, it's when people say the word halvening, it just makes me go, ugh.
I totally get that because honestly, it's not untrue, but I used to not like it, but I have just I've noticed it's become part of common parlance and it reminds me of the riveting. It reminds me of like an event.
That's fair.
The halvening. You know what I mean?
I don't know. That I get.
It's more fun.
Fun fact about me.
That is a fun fact, and honestly, I do the same thing too. So I'm, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here. But when it happens, that the fact that it's happening right now, at this moment when the ETFs have been approved, people are already asking about what are ETFs. The number one question I hear when I'm talking to people about it on the street and they don't know something right now is they say, and what is the halving? What is happening?
Yeah.
What is this ETF? You know what I mean? Like they're more urgently curious than they were a couple years ago. And we've also got one more cycle under our belt that has added to this sort of mystique and story of crypto, of Bitcoin. We've had some ups, we've had some downs. It's a different kind of FOMO. It really is a different kind of FOMO. Yeah. And like I said a second ago, we are going to go over, if you're curious about the halving, if you want to have a debate about whether or not it's the halving or the halvening, we might entertain that. We're going to do a week on it and on Bitcoin, on the mechanics, etc., so that you can get up to speed if you're new, or if you just want to have a more in-depth discussion about what you think might happen, then join us later on, probably closer to April. We'll be talking about it.
I agree, Eggs. I think so. That is one of the things that.
And for the people on YouTube, Leftover Eggs says, I think we may see ETFs based on various crypto categories, baskets. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that I should have said that. It's a bad habit to not read the comments out loud. I do agree though, and that was one of Alex Costa's points in this last video that I saw, was that there's really two big events that are coming up in the next few months that will undoubtedly affect the price. How exactly, we don't know, but obviously, I think it goes without saying that at least some sentiment is that the halving itself is a sell the news kind of event. However, what's interesting is that originally, when making that prediction, that assumption, up until the last month or so, we were doing that sans ETF, and that's exclusively with retail and individuals buying. Now that companies are like publicly buying and holding, and I actually don't know. This would be a really good question for Ken, and I wanted to make a point to try to get. I need to ping him and get him to guest here, because he would know this, and I genuinely don't know. Maybe someone in the comments can help me out. But is there like when the company, let's just use BlackRock for this example, is purchasing the asset that backs the ETF in question, are there any restrictions on like how long they have to wait before they can sell? Or if people inside of the fund are day trading, is BlackRock literally like, if tomorrow a bunch of people sold, the shares of their ETF back to Bitcoin, how fast is that back and forth? Would BlackRock hold on to any of the Bitcoin and wait for more buyers to come in and snap it up from them, considering that they would then be able to sell that Bitcoin to them at, with their fee attached to it? like what do you think is more likely to happen? And I don't know what the rules are around that, if they have to do anything specific about it, or if they have some discretion with like how they manage that now pile of Bitcoin. I'm also really curious about all of the different custody solutions that these institutional ETF owners are using. I would imagine that it's probably pretty similar to how the exchanges do it. And by similar, I mean it's probably the same stuff. If you go to like the big Bitcoin Miami conference, it's pretty much all just miners and custody people.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that it's boring and it's just one of those various companies that sets up, a bunch of different like wallets or whatever. Anyway, I would like to ask Ken about that just because I genuinely don't know exactly how it works. But so obviously event number one, the halving actually happening in, April, end of April-ish. And then the second one would be following up, I think in May is the deadline for the first round of Ethereum ETF applications. I imagine they will just be delayed because it would be, that's an interesting point too, that I think I would be curious your opinion on that, Evan, just because we kicked the Bitcoin ETF can down the road for so long that, logic would dictate that they do delay and wait and not approve an Ethereum ETF up at the first deadline here. Like that would be kind of crazy. But also I wonder, just because of the way that, like how long they delayed and then the way that it was received when they finally did it, and like Hester's opinion, and kind of the way that it's gone since then, I wonder if they would rather, like, if the application is good, just get it out of the way and get it done. Because Ethereum is another one that, like, Gary has not publicly come out and had too many bad things to say about. I don't know. That'd be curious. I don't know. What do you think? If you had to take a guess at what the first round of Ethereum ETF application, and I don't know how many are pending either. I don't know if there's as many as Bitcoin.
I was kind of Googling in the background because I was trying to find that. Finish your question, though, because I don't want to assume I knew what you were going to say.
I just want to, really quick, I have no clue how to pronounce this giant, mostly emoji username. You invested in our recommended cryptos and they're all down. First of all, that's horseshit on two fronts. One, because everything is up right now. And two, because we've never recommended anyone buy anything. My impression is that you are here to stir up some shit. But no, if all of your investments are in the toilet, buying more is probably not the best option.
Yeah. The extent of our financial advice is, one, no size fits all. And two, that if you are taking investment advice from strangers on the internet, you probably should stop. Now, if you want to know about a particular token or something like that, like, feel free to ask us what we think. Alex, I'm really proud of us because I feel like we do a good job of giving what I would call is financial advice that needs no disclaimer.
Yeah. Well, that's been my point forever, is that when they do finally start dragging influencers into court for all of these unsolicited, illegal financial advice videos, I find it hard to believe that the judges are going to be, oh, no, cool, we'll drop all the charges because I didn't realize that your TikTok bio said hashtag
not
NSA.
financial.
My bad, bro. Go off.
Oh my god.
So if the thing that you're about to say requires that disclaimer, you need to think real hard about what it is that you're about to say. Because teaching someone about how the shit works should not require a disclaimer. Because obviously the reason that people make that disclaimer is because this is legally questionable. To sit here and like tell people, this is gonna go up. And it's not so much the people who are just like, yeah, I think that Bitcoin is going to be worth more money in the future than it is now. Pretty much everybody who believes in Bitcoin says that, right? It's more of the like, now I'm not telling you what to do, but you would be an idiot if you're not into bonk, or Pepe is pumping, and every time Pepe pumps, this other meme coin also pumps. You'd be a dumbass not to do it. I'm not going to tell you what it is on the live, but if you pay for my Discord, I'll shill it to you all day long. or whatever, you know.
Yeah, those people are not your helpers. They're everywhere and they're not here to help you. So, just move on. Okay, so your question to me was about
Anyway,
do we think we're going to see the
yes.
same thing, right? And update, there are, as of the end of January, 7 applications. So less
Okay.
applications, some of the same
Yep.
group of people. So what I think is, I think on one sense they're more likely to get approved because these people have already applied for and been granted a cryptocurrency ETF in the form of a Bitcoin ETF. I think for the purposes of the SEC, they are going to hem and haw about Ethereum being different. Hester's going to write a really great opinion about it, explaining the key differences. Probably we'll talk
Mhm.
about how Ethereum is far less speculative because it's a computer you can build programs on top of. But most of these people are doing it to allow people to speculate on Ethereum as a financial asset on Ether,
Mhm.
and therefore, I think it will get approved. I think the SEC is more friendly towards people who want to speculate on a potential financial investment than they are to people who are developing wild and wonderful ways to use this technology to do stuff. I think if Exhibit A was, PAX, the merge smart contract, they would be like, "Wow, we definitely can't do that." But if it was like a stock chart, they'd be like, "Seems reasonable." Um, I think I think they'll probably get approved that way. Um, and I
Like
kind of worry about
as
that.
soon as the first deadline, though.
As soon as the first deadline, no. I don't think the hang up on the first deadline is probably going to be um, like an ethical, moral one. I think the impression I get from the SEC is that they are overworked over there. It took them a long time to do the Bitcoin stuff. They're still recovering from that. They had
Mhm.
that intern who leaked the news, so they've had to fire them and get a whole new round of it. You know what I'm saying? They are a
Yes, the
they're a
intern.
business just like anybody who, the guy wakes up in the morning, he's like, "Oh, it's Monday." Gary's trudging to work in his "I hate Mondays" mug. You know what I mean? Like they just have a lot to do. It's a bureaucracy. Paperwork, paperwork, paperwork. I don't think they're sitting there like debating it the way we get to. I think this is the kind of fun they'd like to have, honestly. But um,
Mm.
you know, I think Tori says she feels like she has the opposite opinion, and
I mean,
Robbie Ray says
if
the
I put
same
on my
thing.
cynical hat,
Yeah, you think so? Are you cynical too?
I mean, I could be. It wouldn't surprise me. It would just be, one of the, like, easy conspiracies to bandy about with regards to the Bitcoin ETF is just like, well, we needed to wait until Bitcoin had gone to a low enough point to where enough of the big people could accumulate as much as they actually wanted before they, potentially sent the price absolutely ripping with the ETF approval. So obviously all of these guys talk to each other. Um, and, insider trading is nothing new, nothing to write home about. It happens every single day. That could easily be what it is. And so, if people are not ready for Ethereum to do the thing, then, why wouldn't you try to crater the price a little bit by denying an application or, kicking the can down the road? I don't know that they'll be able to deny it. But that will be an interesting one just because it is a very different kind of asset than Bitcoin. They're both cryptos. They're the two big ones, but um, I'm curious too about just the logistics of running an Ethereum ETF if um, it's already gone deflationary before just from normal Ethereum volume happening. And I wonder, just imagine that the kind of buy volume that the institutions are seeing with Bitcoin ETFs happens with Ethereum. I mean, the fees would have to fluctuate pretty drastically, theoretically, for BlackRock to sell Ethereum to somebody or to be buying Ether.
I
If
mean, maybe, but not if they're the custodians of it. They can charge a fee that covers gas, as it were.
that's what I'm
I don't
saying,
know. I don't
they're
know
going
what
to
the
have to
rules
set
are.
that higher.
Yeah, I don't know what the specific rules are in terms of. I'm sure there are a ton of rules. Do you know? You know what I was thinking about? I was looking at it. It was Hester's thing that Hester said that makes me have my opinion. You remember when the Bitcoin ETF was approved? Hester wrote the best, she's always the best, but she wrote that wonderful excoriating statement about how no one can trust us now. This is a
Yeah.
circus. I absolutely think that because of that, because of like the very apparent prejudice against Bitcoin that they showed, met with like the surge in demand that they saw afterwards, I think they have an axe on their neck. We cannot have that kind of circus this time. Nobody trusts us. We've lost their respect. And so I absolutely think that because application number one is Van Eck, who did get a Bitcoin ETF, that they're gonna get approved. It's by May 23rd, which happens to be my birthday. Um, I think they have sort of a glow hanging over them, a shadow hanging over them. That's why, because Hester was so big on that, and you know that everybody inside the agency is feeling it. She's just the one who's willing to say it.
Yeah. Well,
They need to have a victory. They need to get some trust back. They need to gain some ground, almost as a PR move.
yeah, but Gary doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who, well, I mean, how that dude has never had good press from the second he took over. And he still has his job because no one's going to hold him accountable for fucking anything.
Yeah, but the cries are getting louder from, Congress, et cetera, too. And I don't remember who, I mean, Donald Trump appointed Hester Pierce to the commission. And I think it's possible that if there's an election, if there's a shift, that Gary Gensler could be out of a job. And honestly, I don't know who else I'd pick. I'd pick Hester. She's probably the best thing Donald Trump ever did, in my opinion.
That's not really saying much.
No, but I mean, it's pretty good. Thank God for Hester.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing that would be the reason that they approve it, like to save face with the public, like, because I think that Gary would say he's not going to let himself get bullied by people being mad at him. Sure. And I mean, to be fair, people have been mad at him since the day he took office because he has never really acted, I would say, in accordance with the role of the office to which he has been appointed. I would anticipate a delay, but I mean, I think, I don't know. I haven't heard him really say anything about it either.
Yeah.
And he's pretty vocal about Bitcoin to the point where it's, obviously him talking shit about it.
As I was Googling it, I found a couple of good articles that are totally opinion pieces. There's one on Cointelegraph that says it's coming sooner than you think. There are some others. I'll post them in our chat so people can read them for themselves. And generally, I'm curious to hear what other people think too, because I certainly am open to being wrong. And it would not really surprise me if they wanted to delay. It wouldn't. I just don't think. I don't know. I just put myself in the driver's seat and I imagine. I don't know. I honestly think that could be a great sitcom, The Office at the SEC. I'm just sure the yakety sax they get up to there is wild.
Yeah, I truly can't imagine what that environment's got to be like.
Oh my God. Yeah. What do you think? Do you want to pivot and talk a little about we opened the floor on gaming yesterday. We got Mack potentially coming in a couple of minutes. Do you have any projects you'd like to look more at, or any applications you'd like to look more at, or do you want to keep it here? Do we have more news to talk about?
Well, let me take a look. I mean, obviously, as you can imagine, with prices doing the things that they are doing, lots of news is regarding price. Let's see if anything else is happening. Today's one of those days where like a story's getting posted every 4 seconds.
And I do want to remind everybody that if you're having a hard time keeping up with this stuff, then you can always go back to YouTube later. You can slow it down. I upload everything there. Usually at the end of the week, we do the episodes of the previous week, so you can watch them and rewatch them at your leisure. If Alex or I picks my nose, we pick our nose or something, you can watch it again and again. That's a lot of fun. And of course, join us in the Discord, discord.gg/the many, where we'll post links to this stuff. You can post longer messages. You won't be character limited like on TikTok. And of course, if you're not watching on TikTok, you're seeing this somewhere else. Hey, welcome. Join us Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time to about 8:30. Unless you're in the Eastern time zone like Alex, and then I'm going to mess the times up. So just be there, and we'll see you there. And also, Tori asked, do you have a news scrubber? We tend to like to use Crypto Panic as like an aggregator tool.
Always.
It pulls from CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, a lot of publications you've never heard of before. And we are working on, with help from folks like Tori, I've been peering through, Alex, I'll have to talk to you later about what I think, but we're hoping to do a newsletter that I think we should do like once a week at the end of the week to give you, here are the big links from the show. If we talked about any big stories, this is what's coming next week. Not going to clutter your inbox, not going to waste your time. It's just like everything in one place. If you took a week off or you missed something, so you can get right back up to speed. But that'll be your version of a news scrubber if you're following our show. We recommend Crypto Panic. Not a sponsorship, but it could be.
So this was just a headline that popped up that's caught my attention for two reasons. One, because I didn't know that VanEck has a head of NFT community in Web3.
Wow. Do they have a director of vibes also?
That sounds like this is the dude. But what's really funny is that if you look at the dude, he looks like look at this guy. And this is not a knock on him personally. This is just like not the vibe I would imagine for
VanEck, who is first in line to get an ETF
no.
for Ethereum.
This is not who I would imagine to be the head of Web3 community NFT.
Yeah, man, he looks.
That is obviously Stephen Graves from Decrypt, and he has the look and feel of a guy who does Web3 NFT and community.
Yeah.
This guy just looks like the most corporate, like banking dude ever. Well, this look has the vibe of he showed up and Steven was like, bro, can you at least take off the tie and pretend like you belong here? And he was like, okay, but I feel naked and lost without it, but I guess.
Yeah, Robbie says he's
anyway,
a clone.
now that I've roasted poor Matt Bartlett over here.
Director of Community.
The whole headline here from Decrypt is just that the VanEck Web3 lead, this guy Matt Bartlett, has referred to tokenized real estate as the Holy Grail, and that VanEck is working on launching an NFT platform called Segment.io. And I don't see that as a live website yet. It redirects you to segment.com, and it is certainly not an NFT marketplace. So that is super interesting, but it's not an article. Unfortunately, it's an interview, and I am not going to watch a whole interview right now, but I'm going to put a pin in that to go back to later. Cause I mean, that sounds intriguing. And I mean, this shows you, I'm not paying attention. This could have been common news. I was not aware that VanEck had a Web3 lead or that VanEck was launching an NFT marketplace. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And it's honestly, I am expecting, like you said yesterday, about everything happening slowly and then all at once. We have a friend who's a money manager who Kim overheard on a phone call advising someone who wanted to buy crypto to buy the Bitcoin ETF. It's the only one he can recommend. I absolutely am not going to be surprised when I start to see the VanEcks and the BlackRocks and the local hedge funds or whatever. Frankly, I'm sorry to get some phone calls.
Say that again. What did you say about him and the ETF?
Oh, just a money manager who, he has a company
Yeah,
here that invests for other
yeah.
people. He's a financial advisor. And Kim overheard him on a phone call advising a client who wanted to purchase cryptocurrency that all he could recommend is the Bitcoin ETF. That's all I can
That's
recommend.
super interesting because you would think that if he could recommend the Bitcoin ETF, he could also recommend that you buy Bitcoin.
Yeah. But he can't make money on that. And I'm sure this is a gentleman who I think has a lot of character. I think he is a good businessman, but also is the kind of person who would just help you. And I think it's interesting. That shows me one, they still don't understand it. But two, the regulatory clarity in terms of like now you have some recourse, now you have some security. This is how you make your money and this is how we protect your clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's the language they're speaking, not necessarily the language of, decentralized finance. I thoroughly expect to get some phone calls when the ETFs start getting approved and folks like that want to hire a director of community, NFT, vibes, whatever. Uh, and I really look
Vibes
forward to the
director.
conversations because my hunch is that they are in it, but it's not a light bulb moment for people. So
So Daniel says Polkadot ETF. That is one that I would 100% imagine just because it has a tremendous amount of big money backing it. I would have to say though that in the same vein then, right, wouldn't Solana make sense? Or
of course,
XRP?
it's gonna be an avalanche of ETFs. Let me ask you this, because we're expecting baskets. Like baskets would be cool.
When Avalanche ETF?
But like Alex, at what point? Like it's cool. The ETH ETF applications, that's cool. We're excited about that. At what point does the narrative shift and it's like, oh my God, top signal, Solana's applying for an ETF, or like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
does it become not cool to do? Like, who's going to be the token that everyone's going to start shitting on because, like, oh, they're applying for an ETF? Polkadot would be a
I
top
think
signal
that
ETF for me. Honestly, truly, I'd be like, oh, we've reached the point where Polkadot's getting an ETF. I'd be like, time to sell, guys. Obviously,
I don't think it would be a specific crypto as much as it would just be there's too many now.
Yeah.
Because it's only a matter of time before someone literally does what they need to do to submit a Pepe ETF application. Just to say that they submitted it, because that is exactly what a meme community would want to see.
Yeah,
they don't give
absolutely.
two shits whether or not it gets approved or not, but like, fuck yeah, bonk ETF win.
Yeah. Culture.
And then, denied immediately, but the fact that it like something was filed would still fulfill the pledge of the meme. That, to me, that's top. When a meme submits an ETF application for the meme, I that would be more of a top than like a huge corporate venture capital friendly. If you pull up Polkadot on Crunchbase, it's up there with like the most heavily corporately invested in cryptocurrency assets, for sure.
Well, I guess that's kind of what I mean, is that if it becomes that most people, i.e., crypto companies, are seeing the path to viability as like you got to be regulated, that to me will be an interesting inflection point, because I also believe there will be an opposite inflection point. It's what I always say about the ETF, that it's going to be a net good thing for like values-based crypto. It's going to teach people about the benefits of Bitcoin. They're going to see what they get with the ETF and what they don't. And then they're going to expect and demand those other benefits. I think there's going to come an inflection point that the ETFing and regulating of everything is going to cause, whereby all of the values folks who've been here, are gonna we're gonna I don't know how to say it. Everybody else is gonna come over to this side, in the sense of people who are used to ETFs and understand you can buy Bitcoin with one will then see what it is Bitcoin really can do if it's not contained in someone else's wallet. And I expect the ETFing of everything is really going to lead to that kind of inflection point. All of a sudden, there'll be more people investing this way on this side, I wouldn't be surprised. It's not a lot of liquidity, but if it causes significant shift in the conversation about digital ownership, being your own custodian, being a financial advisor, whatever. Um, what is that?
My desk.
Why is it screaming?
I lowered it.
Hey man, did you notice I brought the glasses back today? Somebody made a comment: glasses versus snapback, and
I did. Yeah. I also didn't wear the other ones today.
yeah, I like your other glasses. I like these too, obviously, but
no, they're good. They're all right. I because I'm rickety, I slept wrong and my back is just fucked right now. So I'm like just trying desperately to find a position that I can sit in that doesn't make me want to fall down.
Jay in the comments wants to see the other ones. I don't know if you have the other glasses, but I'll show you some other glasses, Jay. Hell,
my other glasses are in my truck right now.
Check this out. I can't see a darn thing, but
Yeah,
don't
there
I
you go.
look cool? I look like somebody's grandpa 30 years ago about to walk into a casino, right? Or maybe a doctor's appointment. You can't tell. The glasses throw you off. So
Daniel, I appreciate it, but I can promise you that I have been dealing with chronic back pain for 12 years, and I'm not one of those people that can just do some light stretching and call it a day. I broke my pelvis in 2011 or 12, 11. Anyway, and it's never been right since.
It's time to get a new back.
Yeah, it's okay. I didn't say that to solicit back healing advice. I have heard all of it 400 million times before. So don't worry about it. None of you are going to fix my back.
Yeah, NHA man, not a doctor, not a doctor advisor.
Jim, it was an unfortunate snowboarding accident.
I had a friend who broke both his hips snowboarding when he was in high school. Like, just shattered his pelvis, dude. Wild. I like snowboarding, but I don't snowboard like that, man.
Well, no, this was if you had been watching it happen, you wouldn't even notice that anything. I didn't know that it happened. I kept going for the rest of the day because it was the first run down the mountain that morning, and I hit a small rail at the bottom, and I slipped off of it, and I just sat on the rail right on my SI joint, and I separated the joint and popped one half of my pelvis up by like half an inch.
Oh my gosh.
Was the size of the separation, and I didn't note it. Like, it hurt. I was like, oh, that's gonna suck tomorrow. But I was still strapped into the board, so I never took a step. And then I just kept, up and down, right up, back onto the lift, down the mountain, back onto the lift, down the mountain, back onto the lift. I never unclipped or anything. And then like hours later, I unclipped, took one step off the board, passed out, woke up being dragged to a car. And then, obviously, hospital ensued. And I was, informed that I had broken my SI joint.
Man, you are getting so much good health advice in the comments right here.
I regret. I should not have said anything.
Although I want to ask Jim what he means when he says this. I'll read it for everybody. So not death by snoo, just owned by snow. Snoo spelled SNOO. I don't understand. Is that a hip thing? Snoo?
Jim, is that New Zealand slang that none of us know about except for you?
Oh, that would be cool. I'd like to learn some New Zealand slang.
If it's not, now you owe us a piece of New Zealand slang.
Or just a piece of New Zealand. Any piece will do. Send it in an envelope with a $20 bill to my address. You can find it at the link in the show notes.
Better yet, I'll come pick it up. That is like top of the list of places I would love to go. I've never been.
Daniel says it's from Futurama, guys. Out of touch. Sorry. It is
yet
another pop culture reference that I personally don't understand. But
I was you're not alone in that one, Evan. I was all South Park, Family Guy, and American Dad. I never really watched Futurama.
I got you.
I missed out. I mean, I love Futurama. What I've seen, I love. I just never watched it.
Ooh. Okay. So So, do you want to touch gaming before Matt gets in here? Because there's a chance and a possibility, because he's got a baby, that he doesn't make it in here.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, so what we're going to pivot to if Mac ends up joining us is I just wanted to go over some of the best subjective opinion projects in gaming and kind of what they're doing, and then sort of compare and contrast the different methodologies for Web3 game launch, because there's a couple different ways that these things have been launching.
There he is.
And actually, I shouldn't say that. My one big favorite example, there he is, man of the hour. Mac, anytime. No, there's no time, so jump up whenever. Evan will put you up.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Big Time a little bit, just because that's one that like was definitely around the block. Especially, I mean, I'm sure Evan, I guarantee Mac did, all got the emails with like 2 years ago from Big Time asking us to make videos and, offering this and that or whatever. That was actually the first one that I received an email from that I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll talk about the game. And then I just never heard back. So they got my hopes up and then they left me at the altar. And I have not played it yet, because then obviously it took a pretty long time after that for gameplay to become a thing. But the interesting thing about Big Time is that they might have been over 2 years from when they announced before the token came out, which is not the typical launch methodology that these things do. A lot of them will use the token to raise funds. As we found out with Shades of Sin and applying for grants, in order to get a grant, it seems like the token being there is required almost.
Yeah.
Not officially, but like if you don't, they just simply won't fund you. So anyway, that was an interesting thing about Big Time, is just how long they waited. And the token, I don't know where it's at right now. I have not looked, but at launch, at least, it was crushing. It was doing pretty big things, which is interesting, because then a ton of other games obviously started with a token, only have a token. Game is not out and available yet. I don't know. There's a couple big ones then that have tokens that are like tradable on some pretty big exchanges. Like, is Illuvium's ticker ILV? I think Illuvium is another big one that people talk about a lot. And these are all questions then from Mac too, because I'm not sure if Star Atlas's token, if they have one, or if they do it, if it's out.
They do, but I don't know what it does. I don't think it's done. If it's the one I'm thinking of. Neil mentioned something really interesting here. Did you see the recent Google paper on a video game called Genie? And I've got it pulled up here. This is a headline from 18 hours ago that Google unveils Genie. It generates video games based on a text description that you give it. And according to this article, it's a big deal. This is following NVIDIA had a chat with RTX, sort of, showdown where it did an AI thing. It sounds like they might have a video that you can go check out if you're interested in this. I'll be glad to post this article in our Discord. Though this is like giving the disclaimer that this is, platformers, 2D video games, not full-on metaverse, virtual reality kind of thing. It's trained on 200,000 hours of unsupervised public internet gaming videos. Sounds, yeah. So I'll post that in the chat.
Yeah, that's definitely one that I would like to dig into a little bit. That sounds very cool.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about this other comment that asks about the Battle Pass systems craze. Do you know about that?
Yeah, so Battle Pass is a monetization strategy that pretty much every game is using at this point, which is seasonal content. So, you pay X dollars every so many weeks or so many months. And then as you play through that season, whatever that is, you advance in the ranks throughout this battle pass, and along each step of the way you earn rewards. And it's sort of like this drip feed reward system. by which you are incentivized to continue to play all season, or at least until you
they
finish
update
the
to 4 days a
battle
week
pass.
now.
Oh, look, they're doing their plant-based stuff.
Hang on,
Hey,
we
buddy.
got it. There you go.
So I think it's a little bit. I think gamers are getting a little bit tired of it. I know I'm getting a little tired of it. Some of them are better than others. Like it's one of my biggest complaints about. Yes.
Not the sloth, man. Where'd you get that? Where did you even
I
get
just
that
found it. Dude, I actually have no idea what I'm doing with TikTok Live. There's so many options and buttons, and I
He's
just
trying to teach you something, man. He's trying to. Oh, he ate it. It's too late.
look at him. He's chilling.
Did he pull it out of your ear? Oh no, it came from off the side.
Dude, he's chilling. He's getting another one. He's gonna feed it to you, dude. Munch it. He's like, he's not ready for this one.
He's teasing.
70% of our team meetings go, by the way. It's basically just this.
Pretty much.
And there's Amber in the comments. Hi, Amber. I know she's there with you too. It's so good to see you.
David, in summary, before we get to Mack here to wrap up, I think it's a little played out. I would like to see new stuff, and I think that a lot of the battle passes, at least the ones that I'm seeing in the big popular games that are still using it, they're just boring, man. Like Destiny is in the middle of a super season because they delayed the launch of their newest DLC until April or June or some shit. And so there's like still 100 days of this current season left, and it's been going for months. And they never extended the season pass, so it's still it only goes up to rank 100. After rank 100, you stop earning season pass rewards. I'm currently ranked 300, and I haven't earned a reward in 200 levels. And it's really obnoxious, and it makes no sense that they didn't change it. But that's kind of the vibe in a ton of them. Call of Duty is the same shit. Fortnite's the same shit. At least Fortnite has like advanced battle passes if you do keep going. They have like a couple more things you can earn, but I think it's tired and played out, and I would like to see some new stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, joining us courtesy of the Crotch View Cam is Mr. Mack Lorden, our good friend. Thank you. How is Miami? How are you doing? How's your family? And what do you got for us today? You want to introduce yourself to people who know? I think everybody knows you, but I don't know. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure, yeah. Hey, everyone. I am Mack, also known as the Oracle in TFM land. You guys ever call yourselves
Also
that?
known as
Heliomancer and the Scrivener on stream? I think it's worth it.
No.
Cool.
I think it's worth it too, because the Scrivener is an awesome name. Occasionally,
they are fucking cool names, so don't let it die. Anyways, yeah, I'm crypto class of 2017, and so I've got my own channel, and I make a lot of content similar to these guys around crypto, Web3, gaming, AI, all of the above. So yeah, Alex pinged me, and and I've been working with these guys for 2+ years, so good friends of mine. But yeah, everything on my end is going well. I got my first jiu-jitsu competition coming up on Saturday, so I'm excited for that. I've got a hurt shoulder, so that
Beautiful.
Is interesting. Yeah. I've been like getting better, and then I really feel good, and I challenged my instructor last night, who I haven't rolled with yet. Turns out he's pretty fucking good. So yeah, that was something I've had to learn the hard way. But yeah, everything's good. Family's great, and really excited about what's going on in the crypto space too.
Well, and Alex, you wanted Mac to jump up because we wanted to talk about just what's going on in the gaming space right now, right? We're slow cooking a game. We are watching people doing games, but I personally am very out of touch in terms of what are people buying right now. What are they talking about?
What's up, Daniel?
For context, I wanted Mac to come here specifically because he has the best jawline in crypto, and I got tired of not seeing it. But also because, as Evan and I have introduced why Web3 and gaming are a beautiful marriage of technologies and why they belong together, I am not, and Evan is not, super read into the specific crypto-related projects in gaming that are doing impactful things right now, and Mac is way more lined up with all of the shit that's happening in the actual like cryptocurrency space as it relates to gaming. So, Mac, we were hoping to hear from you if you're watching anything interesting, if you're unenthused by anything specific that maybe has hype around it, or just kind of what you're seeing as you do your research. And I know you've been cranking out the content lately. So,
thank you.
Floor
Yeah, I'm happy to talk. So maybe we'll do a light, tasteful,
give me a little flight of gaming crypto.
Yeah, let's taste it.
Talking some shit, because I think there are some games that need to be talked shit upon, but I think that there's a lot of like platforms and games that are looking really nice. So right off the top, to me, and I know you guys have heard of this too, but the ones that are seemingly just the undisputed top of the pile are Illuvium. I know you were talking about them earlier. Off the Grid, which hasn't launched yet, but they're the ones who are being directed by Neil Blomkamp, I think his name is, and he's the guy who did District 9 and a couple other films. So that one's going to be awesome. And then Shrapnel.
Mm-hmm.
District 9 and Off the Grid and Shrapnel are both first-person shooters, and Illuvium's got a couple of different things going on. So I think those are the ones that come to mind most immediately, but I always suggest, I know Big Time is big too, but I always suggest if you're going to invest, then go for something that's got less risk involved and more spread. So if you invest in one single game, then you're just hoping that that game captures people's interest for the entire bull market and the coin goes up. If you invest in a platform for games, then it can constantly be relevant. So there's a few different platforms that I'm really excited about. I am going to be investing in these, and some of them haven't launched, but probably the two I'd say that I'm most excited about coming up are called Arcade and Games.gg. And Games.gg has a 3 instead of an S. And the reason why I'm super excited about those is because Arcade is a way... Alex, I think I told you about Arcade a little bit ago.
Yep, you did.
But Arcade is basically a way for individuals and VCs, whales basically, with a ton of money to get access to GameFi. Because the way it happens right now is if I am an individual and I want to go play a game, or if I want to make some money, then I have to probably spend a lot of time in the game or a lot of money to rent out these or to buy these assets, right? So sometimes these, like if you think about Star Atlas, right, you can buy a spaceship, or Big Time, you can buy some assets there and then rent it to other players, but those cost sometimes $10,000, $15,000, $50,000. So what Arcade does is that basically pools it into a group so that you put all of your money into one group, and then they will go and do the quest in the game or rent out whatever, and then you get a share of that money. So it's kind of like crowdsourcing, like an Airbnb type model, which is super interesting. And then the VCs benefit too, because they don't have time to go messing around in a game all day long.
But this is in games that are played to earn specifically, right? Sorry, Alex.
Well,
yeah.
Any on-chain game is basically play to earn.
But that's what I'm trying to understand is, are they only investing in on-chain games? Like they're basically corralling people. Like they're going to hire Alex and I to go play a video game and bring back whatever we find. They're bounty hunters. They're casting bounties and saying, we fund the mission, you bring us the rewards. But are they getting assets like I don't know, skins and cool stuff? The games they're playing? I'm behind on what the games are.
Yeah, basically. More or less, yeah. And I don't know if they would necessarily hire people to go and do the things. Like they have a team of operators, of course, and then they have assets as well. So some of them might be a little bit more hands-on, some of them might be hands-off. But yeah, that's just the way the model works. And if they do get something that's not fungible as a reward, then they could sell that and put it back into ARC tokens and then distribute that. So there's like
all of this depends on the game being super fun, though. Like, it's got to be fun.
Well,
Otherwise,
you know what's interesting
yeah.
is that I wonder. This is maybe out on a limb here, because I think this is interesting. This could theoretically, if something like this got super popular, right? You could breed a whole new career inside the gaming space, wherein a company like Arcade would outsource to people who are just, habitually playing a game. And then I wonder if like fun would become less important. Because if you're talking about incentivizing a specific player to go do something that they enjoy, because there is also now a reward structure that they can use to monetize their efforts. If you have someone who's literally punching a clock to earn like another Web3 gaming asset, that individual is working. They're not necessarily playing to play and have fun. I'm just making shit up right now, but I wonder like if that could change the fun narrative around games, which is,
Well, I think
Always
play to earn is the digital equivalent of a sweatshop. It's the treadmill that makes you fatter. I mean, what was that game? It was like a dungeon battling game a couple years ago, and they had literal sweatshops in
Axie?
third world countries. Yeah, where you
Axie.
would go, and people would be mining stuff to sell it, and eventually, the token got so inflated that they had to close down. It wasn't worth it.
Okay,
But-
so here are my thoughts on that. Because to Americans, a lot of things seem like sweatshops. Alex, I know we've talked about this before, but it's a fine line, because these people might be happier. Like if I had the choice between working the field and playing Axie Infinity all day, I would choose playing Axie Infinity. Now that's a drastic example, right? But I've lived in countries where migrant workers do work 16 hours in a field. So the other thing too is that like people always complain about American companies or super wealthy nations not paying enough to local workers. And if you just start paying your workers, 10 times more than everyone else does, it fucks up the local economy, because it suddenly like makes them targets, and it can kind of screw up the way things are done, because then people won't be making shoes and making clothes and making food. So it's kind of a trickier thing than just like, oh, they are working in a sweatshop. So that's one thing. The second thing is, even if it's not in a third world country and in some sort of like dark dungeon, I still think that there's a difference between playing games for fun and then playing for income, and that is going to change. Like the nice, feel good model would be, we make games so that people can have fun. But once you add in the Web3 component, it's just inevitable that people will use it to make money, and how they do that is kind of up to them.
I think it changes the vehicle of delivery, because obviously we know that since the days of Ultima Online, Warcraft, RuneScape, you name it, there have been people who have monetized their gameplay and sold stuff. The difference is that like it's been a black market the entire time, and if the game caught you, typically they would ban you for participating in that kind of stuff. So this is kind of like the evolution of legalizing marijuana. Like, oh, if you're going to do it, I'd rather you do it in the house. So here's a tool in a vehicle, and allow the company that's running the whole thing to capture some of that by creating the platform and the assets themselves, and then allowing and encouraging people to buy, sell, trade, because it's a behavior that is already inherent in a gamer. And I think, just to go back, the sweatshop with Axie specifically, because I see what you're saying, Mac, but I think the issue that Evan was raising was just more, it was looked at initially as an escape. There were like large swaths of factories that were losing people because they could stay home and play Axie and earn more. And so then what happened is the manufacturers who owned at whatever factory were just like, well, fuck that. I'm going to threaten everybody and build another sweatshop, and now you have to come in here and do it for me, and I'm going to take the profits from it. So it just built a new reason to harvest labor from someone with a different medium. And you could get younger people to do it, and you could make them go longer because it wasn't as taxing on their body.
Right.
So it just turned into another vehicle of exploitation, unfortunately. But inherently, that is the case when you monetize a basic, simple activity.
Yeah,
I don't think
my
that's
problem was not that it's not as good as the fields. My problem is just that any solution like that is going to have Ponzi-nomics. It's not sustainable. It causes terrible ripple effects, and one by one, those kind of things push people further down a road of desperation because there are bigger spaces between them and people who have what they need. It's an interesting question of incentives. How do you incentivize people to play? How do you maintain the incentives? How do you keep it going? And how do you do it in a way that, there are a lot of variables. It's tricky.
Well, I think really what it comes down to is there is money to be made in these games, and the access to that money or to the opportunity to make money is harder to come by. And so by pooling your efforts, it makes it easier. Yeah, you want me to go in the other room? Okay. So if that's not your style, I got another one for you, and that's the games.gg. So I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they are kind of like the IGF? They have come up with the Web3 Games Award ceremony.
Smart.
Which is like the Oscars for Web3 games. Not only that, they do reviews on Web3 games. They do blog posts. They are everywhere. They're a kind of a media, becoming a conglomerate almost. And they have games that you can access as well. They've got 300 plus titles. So the reason I'm super into them is because, what the currency really is in crypto is attention. And they will always be on people's minds because they're always talking about the new games. They have tons of partnerships across the entire industry. So I'm excited for them because their token, whenever it does launch, I don't know when, maybe March, will just be, kind of ubiquitous in the games.
Have they teased an airdrop at all?
Airdrop? No. I don't know what their airdrop would be for. They have like 130,000 followers on Twitter, so looking pretty good there. And yeah, just a lot of stuff going throughout the space. Kind of like Super, Super's another one of those ones that's kind of bridging the gap between different ecosystems. That one's super murky though. Games is a lot more well defined, and it's a way lower valuation because it hasn't even launched yet. So yeah, I'm excited for those two. Another one launching later in April is called Ready Games, and their whole shtick is making Web 2 games, giving them the technology and the stack that they need to make Web 3 games. And they've already onboarded a ton of games that have like 15 million active users a month. There's a lot of stuff going on though. I don't know if you guys have done this, but I made a ton of different spreadsheets, and I went through and just analyzed. If you guys use the portfolio on CoinMarketCap, it's pretty cool. You can add in, when you bought something, or if you don't have time to do that, just add in the coins that you have, and then it'll list you, what your allocation is for everything, and then go through and find out how much of that is devoted to Web3 gaming. And I've got probably an unhealthy amount. I think it's Bitcoin and Ethereum pumping helped, to kind of like rebalance things. But yeah, I looked at it and I was like, I do not like the way this allocation looks at all. And yeah, it was a little too heavy in eGold and Cardano, and not heavy enough in certain other layer ones that I like talk about and think about all the time. So yeah, that and then at least 40% of it was gaming. So
that's wild. Did you guys see that? I don't know if Serge sent it to you, but apparently Alethea is having one of their regular calls. Robbie was asking about, AI coins and tokens. Mack, I know you're looking into AI stuff too. Do you still hold Alethea? I feel like oh no.
I never have.
Oh, you never have? I thought you were buying it a couple years ago.
Nope. I always liked it, but
yeah. I have some.
Did you, Alex?
I have some just because it went on that rip, demonstrating capacity to pump, and then obviously it did bear market stuff, and I I don't even remember what I rotated, but I don't have much. It's not like a huge amount to write home about. But it's up a little bit right now because I set like 4 cents or something, and then I know they've been teasing for a while that like some big announcement was coming out, so I figured, that might do something and let me flip a little bit of it. It's not like a super notable amount, but that was one I know was doing some stuff.
Yeah, I love Surge and I love RF, and I got some when I started checking into the company after we talked with them, and I have a personality pod of theirs that I haven't done a ton with, but I am curious to know if it's going to be an announcement like Benny made an announcement, and we're just going to get like a manifesto, from RF, and that's what it's going to be. But we'll see.
Announcing a new blog post.
Yeah, exactly. 30 days from now, you will have. Yeah.
Well, last thing I'll say about that one. What's interesting, the earlier question in the very beginning of the live was specifically regarding AI related cryptos and like what do they do for them. And my semi-joking answer was they raise money for AI-based startups, because I have not really seen any super compelling things. But this is another thing I wanted to ask Mack about because he's way more read into it than I am. There's not a tremendous amount of like AI-related projects that I've seen that are like super required. And I always think of VXV as the staple AI-related token that did pump for a bit at one point and then bottomed because it was used exactly for that reason, to raise money for vector space. And it was completely pointless, and you never even needed it to buy their product. You could use dollars or Ethereum if you wanted to. And the reason that I had a little Alethea, because it was one of the few that in addition to just doing some sort of AI-based training model, they were also doing on-chain AI activities and then using their token as the gas. So it was like the one that had a little bit of actual utility and potentially a reason for someone who wanted to use the product to actually own the token. That all then, of course, depends on the popularity of their product as a platform. But Mack, do you have any other AI-related ones that you've seen might actually have, some value or some purpose?
Yeah, so I think with AI, it's kind of a similar thing with the games. Is like I'm more interested in the ones that are infrastructure type plays rather than just individual one-offs. To be honest, that's why I haven't invested in Alethea, because it seemed more kind of, I don't want to talk shit, but it seemed kind of kitschy to me, like how you can like train your AI, your NFTs and stuff like that. And I still think that NFTs are just a dirty word right now. It's hard. Like no one is advertising, oh, this is an NFT, even though all the Web3 games use NFT. Sure. JP, the founder of Arcade, was messaging me about another project that's very similar to Alethea AI, and it was, you kind of get your own AI. And the thing is, there's a lot of projects that do that. Like I was looking at another one, I think it was pal.ai, and I know that one's gone on a pump recently, but I wasn't interested in it because it seems like a lot of these guys are just taking the API from OpenAI and like spinning up a slightly, nuanced, personalized AI. And I'm like, that was like everybody's business model last year. It's like, hey, you can do this, you can have your own AI and it can do customer service for you, right? And it just seemed like everyone was just copying off of OpenAI and then adding a little bit more data to it. So I'm super not enthused by that type of stuff, but there are some AI related projects that I think are really interesting. So my darling that I've been talking about a lot is AIT. AIT protocol is big because what they taught me is that data annotation is a cumbersome, laborious, pain in the ass task, and that's what you need to do to be able to properly train AIs. There's a shit ton of unstructured data out there, but you need people to go and like categorize it and prepare it to feed it to the AI. And so what they're doing is creating a market that allows people to do that. And then now recently they've become a subnet on BitTensor Tau. And I don't know if you guys saw my video on BitTensor, but I was unfortunately super late to the game on that one. But that one is just a mega project. I think that one's going to be like almost like the next Bitcoin. Like people call it the Bitcoin of AI because it's just so foundational in what it's doing. So I would definitely be on the lookout for any of the subnets on BitTensor. I think those have a lot of opportunity. And then I think that the DPIN projects kind of play into the whole AI narrative because you need to have a connected network of people that are providing access to GPUs, which are in such demand and shortage, and GPUs are what AI needs to run. So it's all connected. And the reason why blockchain needs to happen is because that's how you incentivize people in this worldwide global network to participate.
For anyone who's unfamiliar with the term, DPIN is basically hardware sharing. I forget what it stands for, but
Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network.
thank you.
Mm-hmm. And it's very prevalent in a lot of the AI conversations. People are talking about DPIN, because AI usually it's a silo, right? You've got this artificial intelligence, this general intelligence you've trained on your data set that belongs to you, and it has no way to integrate with the blockchain. It has a hard time integrating with the outside world. So I don't know if it's right to call them oracles, but it seems like a lot of these AI services are doing that kind of thing where they're like, oh, we're bringing AI onto the blockchain or something like that. We are connecting a bunch of people on the blockchain to help you train your AI, like making the match. It seems to be the value proposition of a lot of this stuff. Robbie in the comments asked us about Precipitate AI. I don't know anything about it. I looked it up just now, and it seems like that's kind of their shtick too. So it seems like that'll be maybe a kind of crowded field.
I think every field gets crowded the second a narrative rips. Then of course you have all of the derivations of the popular stuff, and then you have the grifters who come in and try to capitalize on, like, oh, well, you missed this one, don't miss this one. And it doesn't have to do anything, and that's sort of, the nature of the beast as far as the shitty side of crypto goes.
Yeah, no, I get that.
The DPIN stuff is super interesting, though. I'm way more intrigued by that than I am with specific AI projects right now, just because it makes so much sense, and that is like such a concern that I think a lot of people generally have, the vast majority of everything is just hosted on Amazon servers. And you could make the argument that Amazon is like the centralized entity that it controls a bunch of decentralized servers, which sounds kind of funny to say about Amazon, but just because they are all literally all over the planet, and the grid in one country going down doesn't necessarily jeopardize Amazon's storage capacity just because it is so widespread. But at the center of all of it is still Amazon with their finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
And so the idea of crowdsourcing hardware has always been appealing. There's always been a little bit of something, kind of tootling around in that narrative, but it's never been a big full, with a decentralized something title on that niche of the industry. I think that one is super interesting. I'm super intrigued by that.
That one's actually been around since helium. I have a helium miner.
Yeah.
I was real big on the helium mining because that was a way that was super easy to make money when it initially started. You basically buy a helium miner, it's like $500, and then you just turn it on, and as long as you're not completely in no man's land or in the heart of New York City, then you could make some decent money on it. So it's been around for a while. It wasn't called DPIN back there because there's only the Steppen app and then and Helium back then, and now there's a lot of different projects. So
yeah,
I'm super interested in right now is called OPSEC. I don't know if you've heard of that, but
I saw you mention that.
Yeah, they've just gone on a tear too. I gotta give a shout out to the Nifty investor, and also what's his name, Jolly Green investor. I'm not a huge fan. Jolly Green, you might have seen on TikTok. I don't know about if the Nifty Investor's on TikTok. I don't love the way he does his videos, to be honest, on TikTok because it's always like the same setup. But on their Twitter and their YouTube, they've been talking about projects that are up like 10x since they talked about it a month or two ago. And they don't have a big enough following where like they make a video and it pumps right away. But you can just tell that they've done some really solid research. So I've got to give a shout out to them because they have been talking about OPSEC and other ones like Syntropy or Noia for a while now. And OPSEC recently ripped because they just did a teaser video and it looked like a little miner, like a little helium miner. So that's their Cloudverse something, OPSEC Cloud, something like that. But I think that they're going to have something similar to that. And I don't know how you get it, who knows, but that might be a cool way for people to make money. And I think it's like an $80 million market cap right now. So
You said Jolly Green and who was the other one?
the Nifty Investor.
Nifty Investor, just like Nifty Investor? Because I'm trying to see, I don't know this Jolly Green guy, but Nifty Investor, it sounds like somebody I should know.
On Nifty, if you look his name, the T is spelt with the T from Tau. It's not a proper T. It's like the little classy T. That's how you know people are into Tau, by the way. If you see those little like, I think that's the Greek letter Tau, like TAU.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah, but isn't Tau the token TAO, like DAO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're on YouTube as the Bean Pod podcast, I believe.
They do one together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cute
I
name.
just messaged both of them recently. I was like, man, I was just curious about their research process and if they just live close to each other and were buddies and all that stuff. So yeah, they also called Tau below $50. Yes. They've definitely been at the forefront of a lot of different calls for Tau, OPSEC and a couple other ones. But yeah, OPSEC I'm excited about, and then Clore is another one that I think has big potential. That's the GPU play. Because everyone always talks about the same ones, and it's Render and Akash.
Yeah, I hear Render all the time.
Because Render, like if you go on their website, they're unless it's changed in the past couple months, but when I checked, they were mostly just devoted towards like video processing, right? Like what GPUs are actually made for. It's videos and images and stuff like that. And then now it's kind of gotten lumped into this AI narrative because AI needs GPUs for it.
Big time.
Yeah.
Did you see the NVIDIA run the other day? NVIDIA, has had a killer last couple years, but they went up like, I don't know, 3x the other day. It was wild. It was crazy.
That much?
Yeah, it was nuts. And I don't know if it was exactly 3. I think it might have been. It was like 150%. It was a significant amount for a stock. It was like crypto numbers.
I know they're one of the $2 trillion companies now, which is nuts.
Yeah, they're huge. And that's the thing. I was talking to somebody about it, and he was like, I can't believe it. I was like, well, think about where we're at in the world right now. Like, this is a downstream effect. This is a reflection that everybody needs GPUs. They're in short supply. My brother was telling me he built a computer last year, and he was telling me about the graphics card. And I said, oh, my God. I said, what did you have to pay for it? He said, I don't know. It was like 3 or 4 times what you would usually pay at Best Buy because nobody's got them. You got to buy them from somebody online, and they all want to make money on them. So if you need a little side hustle, I think that's probably just going to continue in the future because everybody needs processing power. GPU big time.
Yep. It's gotten to the point where I haven't like properly done a Google search or like a YouTube video, but I've wondered in my shower time, like how hard is it to spin up a GPU? If I get like a smoldering tool kit and like some, I don't even think it's called smoldering.
Well, first of all, it sure isn't. That's the look. You're thinking soldering.
Soldering. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I've got some research to do. But yeah,
I think you might need to buy like a mineral farm in the global south to have any profitable viability. And, you could do that, but might be tough on you. Might
Is
be
there
hard.
not some way to repurpose, like old school 1990s like inner city computers and just harvest the materials from there and I feel like that's doable at some
I
point.
don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it's profitable at that point. Did I tell you, Mac? I didn't tell you this. Let me know what you think about this. I told Alex this the other day. We were cleaning out our attic, and I found 2 PCs from like between 2000 and 2009 or whatever.
And Evan was immediately like, "Oh hell yeah, time to upgrade."
No, but almost. I put down the tin can phone, and I called Alex, and I shared with everyone on the show, what is the possibility that I could break into this computer and like a guy with a little metal detector look around for like a .wallet file to see if this guy was in Bitcoin, when it launched, kind of thing. Because people keep computers for a long time. They certainly did back then, for a couple of years. And it's such a low probability. But I feel like, I say that to say, I feel like it might be a more profitable venture to go into the inner city computer mine to look for Bitcoin than it would be to repurpose GPUs. But we could do it, man. Wouldn't that be a fun metal detector business? We just jailbreak old PCs and hope that there's a .wallet file on it or something, and it's got 10 Bitcoin, and then they make a TLC show about us or whatever.
That's the modern day equivalent of gold mining.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like those
Pickers,
people they go out to the beach with those metal detectors that like scan the sand. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. All we need is like
You see
we'll
that
call
the
back or something, and we'll get a crack team on it. Bob it, Skull Elf. He could probably break him open in a second. He probably doesn't even need to be here.
Yeah.
he just looks at it. Did you see that the the guy that lost the famous $200 million worth of Bitcoin hard drive lost in the landfill is still in the news, and now he's trying to figure out how to use AI to help him find the hard drive? I just saw another story about that like a couple days ago.
Does he have like an episodic show? That sounds like it should be a show. Like on today's episode, he uses AI to try and recover the data.
That is what it sounds like. Yeah, so this was, let's see. Yeah, James Howells, 38, has spent the last decade trying to find his computer or his hard drive with 8,000 Bitcoin on it.
Dude, it could have been in my attic, man. I'm telling you right now. It sounds like it. Where's he from? Is he from the United States?
He's from the UK.
No. Yeah, he's from the UK. He's from Newport.
That is such a tragic character. I think of I every once in a while, you hear of just these tragic characters who were just like destined to fail their whole lives. And I think of you guys ever see the movie Amadeus?
Oh, I love Amadeus. It was a play first. It's a wonderful, wonderful play.
Oh, nice. So yeah, Salieri is the textbook example I always give, because he's just he if Mozart weren't there, he would have been great, top of the game probably, but he was just so frustrated by this 8-year-old child who was constantly showing him up, and he's just destined to be in his shadow forever. And I feel like this is kind of one of those characters. He's just like, his whole life's quest is just going to be the guy who lost $200 million worth of Bitcoin. Who knows how much it's going to be, in a year's time, but it's just tough, man. I feel for the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is usually the time we give our final thoughts, good jokes, words of wisdom, that kind of thing. But I wanted to ask you both, for people who aren't hip to it, do you want to give a really short baby pitch on the game we're working on, Nurturing Through Development, Shades of Sin?
Yeah, we can.
We can.
I would love to hear. I love to hear you talk about it. There's always somebody new in the audience who hasn't heard about it. And the question of why are we talking about gaming, the most natural answer to me comes back to because we're like working on iterating a game that integrates blockchain that's going to be fun and going to be cool. So tell them about it.
Alex, would you like to do the honors?
Sure. Yeah. So the nutshell background that I'm sure some of you have heard us talk about. This was born from our original game called the Syndicate Games, which was started as a happy accident and turned into a pretty cool, very retro text-based game hosted on a Discord bot that was heavily using strategy and team building tactics to overcome and overpower your opponent. So there's a couple elements of it that, people have always told us were their favorite parts, the social part and the strategy part. So we took that and iterated upon it, and we are working on a game that we're calling Shades of Sin. And the idea is to take basic elements from real-time strategy games, RTS, and MOBA, multiplayer online battle arena, and give people a way to more exercise their brains when playing a MOBA than just running around and smashing stuff. Having said that, we also feel that some people do genuinely just like to run around and smash stuff. So we wanted to create something that had multiple avenues to success, multiple different ways that you could win based on what kind of playstyle you wanted. And then lastly, we wanted to create an environment wherein people could play as a solo player and still get that team synergy feel. So rather than just controlling one single character the entire time, you can build up to a team of 3 characters and then play them off of each other, play their abilities off of each other, and kind of get those happy synergies. So the game itself takes place inside of an arena that we're calling the Grid, which is divided up into 6 sectors. At the start of each match, you and your opponent will each spawn in a sector. The only guarantee is that you won't spawn in the same one. You could be right next to each other, or you could be on opposite ends of the arena. Each sector has advantages and disadvantages. They have different terrains, different ways that you need to navigate. They're not all the exact same, but they all contain a general pathway to start to get towards the center of this arena, where there's a zone that you will need to ultimately control to win. And the currency, the social currency that is used to track winning and losing inside of the game is called favor. And there are different ways that you can earn favor, thus different ways that you can win the game. The favor system, I'm personally super excited about, because you could think of it sort of like earning experience. By earning more favor, you're able to use that kind of favor to upgrade, get new characters, change the loadouts of your current characters. I hope that we get to the point where we have different kinds of equipment, different sorts of gear, all that sort of stuff. But really, one of my favorite comparisons with our ultimate goal here is one that Mack makes a lot, which is that if you look at the history of good games, one of the ones that he talks about all the time is chess, and how chess has never had an expansion pack since the dawn of time, and yet it is still heavily played, and there are so many different ways that you can win. Not everyone plays the same way. There are so many famous strategies used throughout history, and it can be such a deep game. But on the surface level, you can still sit down and enjoy it. Like, me and Jordan can sit down and play it, and neither one of us is any good at it. We just kind of move pieces around until you've stolen enough and somebody ultimately wins. And you can still have fun with it. And that's really the vibe that we wanted to capture with Shades of Sin, that you could just run in and smash stuff and play and win, or you could really take time and consider your different strategies and the different ways that you can go to win, how you're going to capture different areas of the map. There's objectives all over the place, and each one gives you strategic bonuses over your opponent. They can't all be captured at the same time, so you have to pick and choose, based on where I spawned, which one is currently available to me? Is that one worth it, or do I want to risk it and run to this side to try to capture this one? And sort of, endless possibilities and a very high skill ceiling. We also use the phrase easy to learn, hard to master when talking about how a player would approach the game. And then I'll turn it over to Mack here as well, but the blockchain component, we feel super strongly that one of the biggest hurdles in blockchain related gaming is just that barrier to entry, having to download the app, make a wallet, and remember the seed phrase and do this and do that, and then get a token to start playing, and all these different things you have to do before you can even get into the arena and see if the game sucks or not. And so what we want to do is remove all of that from the opening and let you sort of opt into the Web3 part when you feel like you're ready for it. Or if you just don't really give a shit, You can just enjoy the game and play the game, and all the Web3 stuff will be there in the background should you ever decide to investigate. So there's a couple different ways that we're looking at including it, but a couple of the easy ways would just be minting and tokenizing different things that you accomplish or earn in the game that you can keep, should you care about them. Our examples are, some people might care about their characters more. Some people might care about their cosmetics. Some people might not care about that, and they just want to collect achievements, wins, kill streaks, all that sort of stuff, and sort of build a scrapbook of their accomplishments and tokenize that instead. So really the point is to keep a good user experience, keep the Web3 stuff in the background until a player decides that they're ready to tangle with it.
Thanks for sharing, brother. You said you were going to kick it over to Mack, but I wanted to say really quickly, Ibrahim, I saw your request. Thank you for the request. I appreciate it. If you could drop your question here, we love to have people request, but I don't think we've met before, and we've had one or two times where somebody comes on and drops it on our audience. So please be patient with me, and feel free to jump in the Discord. It's always going to be free. It's easier for us to get to know people better there. Just let us know you're here from the show. It's discord.gg/themany, and then we'll have you up on a future episode. But drop your question in the chat, and we'll make it work. Sorry for that. As a segue, you were going to kick it over to Mack to talk more about the mechanics, or more about.
If there's anything else, Mack, that you feel like you want to add,
why our game is the best.
I think you covered it, but I could talk about Shoup briefly.
Yeah, I think we should talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, so the two things that we have cooking right now. So if anyone has been following us on Shades of Sin, there is kind of a delay. Basically, our old developer decided he needed to leave, and so we're currently just onboarding the newest one. So that's why there's been kind of a radio silence from us, and we should probably make a tweet and address that. But the other thing that's being built behind the scenes too, which we haven't really been public about, just because we kind of still need to go through the whole branding rigmarole, is Shoup. And Shoup is a platform that is both it's proprietary, and it's built for community building and for data, specifically for Web3 gaming communities. And basically what we're doing is taking our experience that we learned with the Syndicate games that Alex was talking about, and we realized that whenever there's a game, people like to talk about it, and that was half the fun, is like being able to actively notice, like, oh, hey, you beat me in this last match, or I beat you in this one, and we got these shared rewards. So it's kind of like you could kind of think of it as like a Discord, but it's built for Web3. So, NFTs and anything that you hold in your wallet will be integrated. You'll be incentivized as a user to share what you've achieved, to discuss those things, and of course to talk shit and do all that other stuff. So that's being built right now. Don't have a defined launch date for that, but we should hopefully be opening up to alpha testing group here in the next month or so, and we're really excited about that one. So,
Mack, do you want to tell them how we're building it? Because I think that our manner for getting this thing, the MVP, built and launched is pretty fucking cool.
Like, who's building it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. We had this idea almost a year ago, maybe a year ago now, and because we've been trying to be as lean as possible, we were able to find and partner with a top engineering school in the country called Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, RHIT. We call them the REITs. And there's basically a group of seniors that have been working on our project as their senior project. So we've been kind of guiding them and project managing them for the better half of a year, ever since basically August of last year. Yeah, August, September.
That's true, yeah.
So,
big shout out to Christian, because he really hooked us up with that by bringing it to our attention and facilitating the whole thing. He's a member in our community. You'll get to know him if you join the Discord. So he really pulled it off.
Yeah. So if you're out there watching and you are technical, if you have leadership experience, we need somebody who is able to kind of oversee this from a technological standpoint. From a technical standpoint. So if you've got full stack experience, app development experience, and team leading experience, please let us know, because we are looking for somebody to oversee that. And Shoup has massive potential, because I know I mentioned Web3 gaming communities, but that's just the first step. It can scale to any on-chain community, but the thing that will make the biggest impact, in the way it was originally imagined, was for the gaming community. So be sure to let us know. We're still looking. But yeah, in the meantime, we've got those things cooking, and we'll let everyone know when they get close to hatching.
To hatching, yeah, absolutely. Well said, guys. If you've got a question for Mack, if you've got a question for Alex, you got a question for me, go ahead and drop it below in the chat. We'll be happy to answer it. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be back Thursday. We'll wrap up the conversation around Gaming Week. Bring us the projects you want us to look into. Bring us your questions. And if you have other questions about blockchain, don't forget, we post all this stuff on YouTube at Faceless_Labs after we film it. Usually at the end of the week, I get it up there. We've got a couple of series there. We've also got the Rising Up podcast that we produced, back what seems like a long time ago, but truly not that long. So check that out too. Join us in the Discord at discord.gg/themany. Totally free. Always going to be free there. We hang out. We share links from the show. Answer questions that you can't fit here in the comments, that kind of thing. So Mack says mobile games are the future. And I would say tokens are the future. And just imagine when your mobile games have tokens and you can make every moment matter. That's going to be big. You guys have final thoughts on the way out the door? Good joke? Word of wisdom? Something cheeky to say?
I think I'm pretty well met.
I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Take the time and energy to watch content on YouTube and Twitter and TikTok of crypto content creators that you haven't seen before or that disagree with what your thesis is. I think it's important to get a lot of diversity of opinions in this bull market. So make sure that you're not just watching the same guys over and over again, because there's a lot of information out there, and you should be presented with everything, even if it's not in your comfort zone.
Give us one more time the folks that you said you were watching, and also maybe let's make that the last thing. If somebody's got a resource, go around and we can share it. Give us those folks one more time, though. It was I know you said Jolly Green is one. Jolly Green Investor.
People? Yeah. Jolly Green and I always want to say giant. Jolly Green Investor, the Nifty Investor. I've started watching Crypto Banter lately. He's not a small name by any means, but they've been having some interesting stuff. Actually, annoyingly, there's been 2 projects that I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to buy this. And then the next day he talks about it and it pumps it to hell. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're killing me. Like that with Lithium. I was looking at a Lithium. I was trying to buy a Lithium, ALPH. Fun fact about a Lithium before I continue. You guys know Dead Rare.
Yeah.
Splinter, he stopped doing Elrond and went to a Lithium. Well, guess who just did that as well? Skull Elf.
Yep.
I just saw his post and I didn't put it together until you said it just now. I was like, where do I know that from? A Lithium.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw that dude and I was just like, holy shit. Full circle.
That might be bullish on a Lithium. I mean, if you look at their price action lately, they've just been on a goddamn rip, and it's so annoying because I had the opportunity to buy at $2. I was waiting for it to chill a little bit, and I didn't, and it just kept going up. So let that be another lesson. Like, if you like a coin at this stage in the market, you might be better off just smooth braining it and just buying in right away, because there's no guarantee that it's not going to keep going up. Now, don't put all your money and be completely cashless, but if you hear about something and you like it, because it's $3.79. I can't catch a fucking break with this thing, dude. I can't catch a break.
Well,
God damn you, Rand.
Everything's going up, man.
So, we should make a point, Mack, to have you come back. I think specifically next week, we'll get into some more specific Bitcoin and some more market stuff. And we always kind of kick off the episodes with a little bit of it. Yeah. But we started off today just talking about how weird the current market climate is, with not just retail trying to figure out if they're hyped or not hyped or overhyped about the incoming halving, but like also now all of these ETF owners just buying more fucking Bitcoin than the miners can crank out, and for some reason it's just not slowing down. And like, who's buying all of these ETF shares, and how much Bitcoin is actually going to be purchased, and when are they going to? Because I mean, this is not an infinite resource. At some point, logic dictates that if this doesn't change, it will run out. I mean, hence supply crunch and why the price is probably running like crazy right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of that, it is a weird time in the market right now. So I would say, just to echo Mack's sentiment there, I am a perpetual victim of finding a thing that I think, oh, this is really cool, I would like to own a little bit of this. And then looking at the price, being like, well, today it's up 8%. I'm obviously not going to buy it today. Tomorrow it's up 10 more percent. The next day it's up 20 more percent. And every day becomes less and less likely that, like, okay, well, now I'm definitely not going to. Well, now I'm definitely not. Well, I should have 3 days ago when I had the thought. And I don't say this to say go over leverage yourself, but if you're thinking you want like a little bit of exposure to something, it's so no one can time the market. You simply cannot time the market. Like, if that had been cracked, we would all know about it, and the market would not be what it. And we'd all be retired on a beach somewhere in Belize or something like that. So, you just invest smartly, have a plan. Don't overexpose yourself. But the one thing that I know, I'm speaking from lots of experience of regret, is just like doing the research and like making a determination for myself and thinking like, I believe in this, whatever, and then just sitting on the sidelines forever and watching everyone else make money for no reason off of it. Because, I decided to just keep waiting. And then inevitably, when you do that, the day you do buy it is the day that it does then plummet the next morning. And then you're fucked either way.
Leftover Egg says, don't forget Bitcoin Cash.
The ultimate.
Alex, you mentioned, who did you say earlier? You said somebody you've been watching lately that you enjoy is Alex Costa. Right?
Yeah, nothing new. Nothing new there. Obviously,
is there anybody that you absolutely hate watching, but not because they're terrible, but because you disagree with them? Because there are a lot of people I would not enjoy watching, but that I wouldn't recommend to anybody. That it's like Fox News for me. Sometimes I watch Fox News just to see what they're saying, but sometimes I'm like, dude, my brain, I gotta go.
I have so many.
I think we would all agree on this person who I'm about to say, and we all really like him because he's just a sweetheart.
Hit me. Yeah.
What?
Mason, Crypto Mason.
Oh, Mason.
Mason's just he's just a sweet guy. I wish him nothing but the best, but like, there could not be more of a difference between his investing strategy and the coins he invests in and mine. I don't like his coins. I don't think he likes my coins. It's okay. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I would say probably Joshua Jake as well. Like,
I was going to say Josh.
Guy, but
I tend to disagree with him.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much overlap with what he buys and what I like to buy.
But I follow both those guys, and I like talking to them, and I like seeing what they say, and I like hearing why they think what they think.
Every time I watch them. Yeah.
That's a good call. If I had to make a suggestion that other people may not be exposed to, the one I would say, I would give you two. The first one is, I'll give you this, not a sponsorship, but it could be. The Read Write Own book is fantastic. It's by Chris Dixon. it's I had it here ready for the commercial. Chris Dixon has written and spoken a lot about this stuff. He's the best one, in my opinion, who's out there doing God's work, telling the story. Lead crypto partner at A16Z. And the other one, are you guys hip to the Unchained podcast? It's by Laura Shin.
Yeah. Listen to it, yeah.
Yeah, Laura Shin does a podcast, and she is really got her finger on the pulse of like that big Solana airdrop happened, and she had the guy on the next day and did an interview with him. Warpcast had record high for users, and she had the team on the next day. She's always really good at like, there's a noteworthy macro but crypto thing, and then has a really great conversation and asks tough questions. Like, she asks the questions everyone else is afraid to ask about, like, where did you put the money, or why did you do this? I like them a lot. Probably not great for if you're looking for what should I buy right this second, but if you're looking at the narratives that are going to shape the future of the space, That'd be wild. Man.
Hey, Daniel's in the audience.
Yeah,
Daniel,
girl.
when Daniel's interesting because Daniel, unlike us, is an actual developer. And Daniel, you've had quite a journey here on TikTok and other places. I know
His
you're.
character arc has been a journey.
I know
Quite a journey is my favorite way to describe Daniel's content.
it is because Daniel. I think you started probably around the same time we did, right? I don't know when I first saw your videos, um, but obviously in the last bull run, in the bear market, he became uh, affiliated with ICP, and so he was telling everyone about ICP long before it was cool. And then he became bearish on ICP, and then other people started talking about it, and then I asked him, and he says that the Bitfinity thing is what changed his mind. Daniel, you better be listening because I'm semi roasting you, and I don't want to do that behind your back. Um, and
Dude,
and then now he's bullish again on it, but he doesn't. I haven't seen any of his videos in a long time, and I always liked your content because you actually work in blockchain. So,
Welcome
what's
to
the
Daniel,
what's the
friend of the
latest?
show. Would you like to respond?
Oh, there it is.
I don't know if I'm bullish on it. I don't know if that's the case.
It doesn't matter, dude. Make the content. It's great.
I don't
If you're
want
there,
to.
flame it all.
give the people what they want, Daniel.
People just want to talk shit. It's all entertainment, right? Like that's at the end of the day. If I actually told people what I thought about crypto, they just get angry. Yeah.
Bring back McChicken.
That's my favorite way to describe Daniel. I feel like has gone through the full spectrum of an existential crisis regarding his passion for decentralized technology and cryptocurrency, and he's documented the entire process on his TikTok and then habitually cleared every video he's ever posted down to one thing. And then at some point, his whole profile is just one video about buying some single shitcoin. And then the next day, he's doing educational content about blockchain development and building again. And then all of a sudden, it is quite a journey.
Dude,
That's a good way.
Dave,
I had
you
a
remind
tweet
me of
about
like
it.
a movie about a kung fu master.
It is quite a journey.
Dude, I had a
Dude, you remind me of like a movie about
sorry,
a kung
you're
fu
getting.
master.
It is quite a journey.
Dude, you remind me of like a movie. Sorry, you.
Okay, are we safe?
Yikes.
Okay. In the pause, Daniel, I think you saw this on Twitter, but I don't know if you guys have seen the episode, Alex, and of The Office where Dwight is excited about Earth Day, and then his like Recyclops arc. And so like in the beginning he's all about like, recycle and stuff like that, and he becomes more and more militant, and then he gets betrayed and he decides to
Yeah.
destroy Earth, and it's like, dude, that is the perfect arc for anyone who works in crypto, because we all started bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And then, especially like us with MVX, Multiverse X, and you work in the space and you realize like, damn, a lot of this stuff is not what it's advertised to be at all. Once you really start dealing with APIs and transaction fees and like barriers to entry and all this kind of stuff, a lot of it does become a smoke and mirrors show. So Daniel, I refuse to believe that you're just bearish on everything. Certainly, there are use cases where crypto can make sense.
You guys hear me, or am I like
Now-
paused or something?
You're great now, man.
Okay. No, listen, man. The idea of crypto is amazing. The idea of crypto, the idea of sovereign data, the idea of decentralized financial systems is a great idea. It's really cool, and I understand why a lot of people put a lot of money into it. A lot of honest people put a lot of time, put a lot of money into it. I get it. But then I worked in crypto for 2 years in the corporate world, and I talked to like the high power people that currently do it. Some, I mean, I know a guy who got drugged he got drugged and blackmailed for because of retaliation, because of things, and then that's the entire industry. It's so dirty, and the more money that is made and the more successful these companies are, the dirtier they are. And it became to the point where I thought to myself, what am I supporting? What am I promoting? Who am I promoting? What am I even doing here? Uh,
Well,
and
surely, Daniel, that. I don't know if that. I mean, that's a terrible thing that happened to that person, but I don't know if you should necessarily have the worldview that that's all of crypto.
that's most of crypto, man.
I would see that most of crypto is snake oil, but I wouldn't say that it's as amoral as that. I mean, there is a lot of hype. Like we know from running, an NFT project that like the thing that sells is the promise of what's on the horizon. If you complete what you do on your roadmap, you're not exciting anymore. It's all about what you're going to do in the next phase. We did
Right.
roadmaps. So
Right. So you guys are a good project. You guys are an honest project, and I completely understand that. And which is why I never give you guys shit. I give everybody shit except you guys. You know,
well,
if you ever notice.
Yeah, I
like
appreciate it.
what really made you so jaded? I guess was it that moment when your friend got hurt, or was it something else?
No. It's just sitting in meeting rooms where I realized that the marketing effort wasn't really a marketing effort. It's more of a way to appease investors, and that is so that they can keep doing R&D, so they can keep playing with their tech. That was one of the more down points of my career. In that I was like, so you guys don't care what we do. So that kind of sucked. And that's what I see in the tech side is just tech people wanting to get paid to play. Um, but then you go into talking to these projects that are legitimate projects or that consider themselves legitimate projects. You talk to the CEOs, and the CEO is talking about the way to get investors money is by creating fake hype and then conning billionaires into giving you money. And it was a constant of that over and over and over again. And then you look at the real use cases, right? The real companies are like Dapper. Dapper is doing real things, right? They're working with Disney right now. They're releasing their NFTs. Those are $5 NFTs, and there is no hype around them. It's just a really cool Disney pin. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so that's kind of
Yep.
like the divide. Crypto, the real crypto isn't about speculation. It isn't about investing. It's about sovereign data, and you don't need to know that it's actually there. Uh, so the popular crypto is what annoys me, and that just happens to be where I am, and for some reason, where people still listen to me. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's funny, and you have a voice of experience. But what would you say? I'm curious because I didn't know that you had that many meetings with that many different companies. So I don't know if that was freelance or if that was with your ICP days. Um, but what would you say about coins that are fair launched, like Caspa?
I don't think they're as fair launched as you think they are. That's what I'll say
Ooh.
about that.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
You cannot dangle that
We're
carrot,
gonna go ahead
Daniel.
and continue.
Yep. That's just straight up rude.
Yeah, come on, dude.
It's they're
Spill
never
it.
as fair lunches. It is what it is. You're gonna release a token, so you go out and you tell all your friends, hey man, we're gonna pump this token and this billionaire's behind it. Come on, let's do it. That's all. That's what they are.
You
Yeah,
guys
just
agree
because
with
there's
that?
a starting line that everybody publicly can see and knows when they're allowed to start running doesn't mean that some people haven't already been stretching and didn't buy new shoes, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And what is that public line? I mean, like, yeah, it was public in the sense that it was put on a website with a date with a Twitter that had absolutely no marketing. But 3 months later, the real marketing effort started, right? So, like, when was that fair launch? Was it when the marketing started, or when they made that tweet that 100 people that followed this guy saw?
I
Interesting.
mean, this
Yeah,
is one of those
I'm with you.
narratives that talked a lot about, right? The inherent Ponzi-nomic nature of the vast majority of these things, and how, I mean, Mack, you talk about this all the time from a business perspective, that if you are, trying to use the tech to support a piece of whatever your business model is, how and we've sat there and like tried to come up with, and I still don't have a great answer, like, how is it that you can use a token to raise capital, reward your investors, and then use it to build your idea without inherently ruining your investors' day, because you at the end of the day need to sell some of it to do the thing that you need to do, hire the people you need to hire, market to the, pay for the marketing, actually build the product, do all that sort of stuff. And then of course, like Evan, I know you talk about the 2 token solution, but from
I talk about many.
marketing
I think 2
standpoint,
is the start, but
as an idea. But my point is that the 2 token thing, then people generally hate that narrative in crypto because it's a bad investment. Look at VThor and VChain, right? Like, am I rugged right now? I just got the notification.
no, you're good.
Daniel rugged
God
us.
damn it.
You're good, Alex.
Yeah, you're good.
Daniel rugged.
2 token.
Oh, now I am. Well, I said that like 5 minutes ago.
Are we in a time loop, Evan? Are we in Interstellar?
Yeah, we might be. Mac, we're in the future, dude. We're in the future. Quick, let's go buy something.
Yeah, what's pumping? I want to get Daniel back up here. Did he leave, or you didn't kick him? Sure.
I didn't kick him. No.
Okay.
He just bopped. He
Okay.
said he has a quick meeting. Daniel, you're welcome here anytime. And I have somebody, Ibrahim, I said is waiting too. I probably will be gone in 20 minutes, Daniel. But get to know us. Ibrahim and Daniel come back anytime. I don't know if you guys want to keep it going. You can. I probably got to go in about 20.
Yeah, no, it's time. I was just it's always
cooling
good,
down.
Yeah, talking to other people in the space. I mean, we talk to each other all the time, but it's good to hear other people. And
I want to start doing this more. Alex and I both do.
yeah,
What's a day that generally works for you that we could do like a panel, irregularly? Maybe we could do a monthly panel. Maybe we do it twice. I don't know. I think we should do it though, and have more of our friends who create content, who have opinions, especially if they're different from ours, and talk about something.
yeah, that's a great idea. I'm pretty flexible. I know you guys do Monday through Thursday, so yeah, as long as it's not too early, just because
Okay,
my little baby is not sleeping through the night anymore. So
I get it.
I usually wake up around like 9ish or so. So yeah, nine and afterwards, I'm pretty good.
Alex, brother, I rugged you. Something rugged you. Do you want to finish your thought? You're talking about multiple tokens.
Yeah, no, I just got a huge delay, and I missed you guys for a little bit.
I
I
thought
was
they were
just
taking Daniel out. I thought somebody showed up at his house with a rag.
You
I
know
thought he was
too
doing
much.
all right.
The Caspa army just came to off him.
No, I was just saying that unfortunately there are like some things that could work to help alleviate the stress of like, the token sale idea, but they always make for a poor investment. And my example is VThor. Like, no one's buying VThor as an investment, and so the token is like worthless. And then unfortunately, if that was the idea behind, VChain to make money without having to dump VChain, then it failed, which is unfortunate.
Though, I've tried to think about this, and I could probably do. You know what I probably need to do is do some mushrooms or some sort of
A mind expander.
bufo. Yeah,
Yeah.
my buddy, I made this friend who's a multi-millionaire, and he attributes his success to doing psychedelic drugs 3 times a week. And he's
Love
very
it.
successful. So who am I to say that that's wrong? But yeah, I might need to pop some, one of those and just try and think about, is there a way to launch a token where you can make money and it doesn't impact the shareholders? And one way I know that is if you have a revenue model that doesn't impact the tokens. I know that like that's something that gets overlooked a lot because nowadays almost every single coin has venture capitalists backing it, right? They're sharks and they want it. But don't think that just because a venture capitalist invested into a project that they are only getting paid in coins. They might not give a shit what the coin price does. They might get paid on the revenue side. So if you keep those systems separate, it might be a good way to not impact the price of the token, but the problem is that it's kind of like you're double dipping, and it's a very controversial issue because some people are for it and some people are against it. If I say that I'm just making money in revenue and it doesn't need to come out of the coin, then it's like, okay, I can protect the coin, but it's also like, okay, you don't really have a vested interest in the coin succeeding either. So, I don't know. All that to say, the way that the stock market has done it for 100 years is the very same way. The founders get shares, and when they want to sell, they sell, just like Amazon, just Jeff Bezos is doing right now.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
So
I honestly, I think all of it is a red herring. I think as long as we're trading tokens, trying to get a little more money so that we can buy some groceries, so that we can live a little longer to earn more money to buy some more groceries, that eventually that kind of thing is going to collapse. I think it has worked pretty well for a couple of people for a long time and doesn't work very well for most people most of the time. And ultimately, the tokens will help us move to a system of resource distribution that has less to do with inefficiency and waste and want, and more to do with abundance and access. And money will become a thing we say, can you believe people used to work for that?
You know,
I really truly think that's the utility of
maybe not in
tokens.
this country.
I was going to say, I do think
I think especially here.
the machine that you're fighting is a strong one
Yeah.
with that. And so it's not, I would never say that it's impossible, but I unfortunately think that a move like that is measured more in geological time than in like natural human time. It's not like an evolution that is like, well, in 10 years, because think about just,
Yeah, no.
and I know that you know this, but like, even if tomorrow morning we all collectively woke up and we were like, this is exactly the way that we're going to do it, the sheer amount, the quadrillion dollars worth of infrastructure that is like currently in place to prop up the machine the way that it is right now is going to take generations to dismantle, even if everyone was on board.
Well,
Right,
it's not that it's the money takes a long time to dismantle. It's that the power, the attention, the infrastructure. If the money ceases to work, the problem is it would create a vacuum, and there's nothing there to fill that vacuum now. But there are a lot of models. I don't know if you saw. I just did a video about Cabin the other day. I need to make it again because I don't think it was helpful. But talk about different tokens. Here's a token that you cannot buy. It can't be traded on an open market. You have to earn it for participating in the community. And you can participate in the community all you want. It's like a co-living thing. But you can only access co-living and can only vote or propose if you are a citizen. How do you become a citizen? You got to get the NFT. And you can earn the NFT if you've earned cabin tokens by contributing and doing stuff. You get it for free. Or you pay like a nominal fee, like $240 a year. But somebody in the community has to vouch for you. So here you go. You've got this token that nobody can buy. You've got this other token that you do have to buy or earn, but that nobody can just walk up and get. And then eventually, if this model, this cabin community has scaled from one location in 2021, they have over 24 locations in 9 countries around the world. They have thousands of people participating in their online forums, and they're very effectively moving towards one model of what a different co-living system could look like alongside this current one. I think eventually, if they wanted to do fundraising or something like that with a token, they probably could. But what they're actually doing is they're modeling what a growing system could look like alongside this one, that if it goes away, or if we want it to go away, people could jump ship to and experience more of the stuff they want than they can now. And they've bypassed money altogether in that regard. I mean, they still use it, right?
But
Buy your NFT, but that's the kind of thing people are going to have to build either before there's a collapse or after a collapse if they want to move past it. Otherwise, we're just going to keep the money illusion is so complete you almost can't see beyond it right now. It's difficult to.
Well,
we're just not presented that.
The problem, and we can leave it.
I didn't
shortly
think
here,
a whole other topic. I'm sorry.
It's all good. This is a whole other topic. Obviously, the problem is not, I would say, just that the illusion is strong. It's just that you simply can't remove yourself from the system, even if you want to, unless everything that you do removes yourself from the system. Like, I can't tomorrow decide that I'm going to opt out of the money system because my bank doesn't give a shit, and my mortgage doesn't give a shit, and my car payment doesn't give a shit, and my utilities don't give a shit, and so ultimately I don't have that choice. That's not an option unless I'm like, well, family, we're gonna scrounge for scraps in my backyard for as long as we can, and we are now homeless because So it's not just as easy as that, and I feel like the only way to get into it is to opt into piecemeal by piecemeal. So like your food, you could get your food from a farmer's market, but again, you can only do that for certain things. And if you have dietary restrictions, that may eliminate you from being able to do that altogether. So then you would need to pick a different way to opt in. And I would not say that the illusion is so strong. It is just literally that we have so many people with so many different lifestyles, and there are so many different requirements to live in so many different places that people live, that you just simply can't extricate humanity from the system in any sort of like, if we struggle as hard as we do as a people to like implement very basic shit, the thing that we're talking about right now is so unbelievably complex that its chances of happening are almost zero unless we're talking about a timeline of another 1,000 years.
I don't buy that argument. I think most things people have done are complex, and most historical examples indicate that people cooperated to overcome the complexity. That's
very, very
when I look
long
at history,
periods of
that's
time.
the story I see.
Over generations.
I think
Over
the biggest
generations.
hurdle, though, is American culture, because you can do all the stuff you're talking about, Evan, pretty easily if you go to Thailand, you go to Indonesia, one of those places where they're much more open to those kind of alternative lifestyles. But America is the land of Wall Street and guns. You know what I mean?
Land of the me. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to like understand what American culture is, all you need to do is look at how people behaved during COVID and check the news every week to see which school is being shot up.
Yep.
America doesn't give
It's fuck everybody but me
It's a
mentality.
country that no one cares about anyone else. Now, I know that there's communities where you have friends and you can live these kind of like one-off lifestyles, but like endemic, it's not gonna change unless there's a giant forest fire. So I think if you want to get away from the system that you're talking about, you're better off starting in a country that isn't just balls to the wall capitalism.
Balls to the wall capitalism. It sounds like a Dali generated book cover. Like, I'm already picturing it.
Sounds like some super obnoxious money guru book name.
Yeah, honestly, it would probably sell.
Yeah,
It would probably sell a lot.
Grant
Okay,
Cardone.
all right, okay. I'm wrangling it in. I'm gonna corral it.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's put it to bed for now. We've gone fully through the gamut.
Yes.
I want to thank you, Mack, for making time to join us. I know you got family. I know you got a ton of responsibility. I know everyone watching has a ton of stuff going on, and so thank you all for your most valuable asset, your attention. We are going to be back here at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow and Thursday, talk a little more about gaming. Keep diving deep, answer your questions, and in the meantime, we invite you to check out Discord. Always going to be free place to connect with the Faceless Many. Everyday people like us having these kind of conversations to figure out how we can make a better future than the one we got right now. It's discord.gg/the-many. You can pick Mack's butt there about his picks. You can pick Alex's nose about his mustache. You can, I don't know, just pick me because you want to hang out with my little plastic baby. But that's where we live. So we'll see you there. We'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, my friends, everybody, rise up.
Thanks, guys.